So, real quick, I don't know. I'm gonna just give my quick thoughts, 10 minutes or less, on this situation with Ariel and the Disney thing, and give my thoughts real quick, uh, and give you my issue with the situation. And what only thing that bothers me about the whole situation. Let's talk about that real quick. One, okay, my biggest issue with the situation is that black folks were just crying and bitching and moaning about Pixar changing Tiana. They was about the light skinned Aunt Viv Princess Tiana, right? Even though we know that Princess Tiana, original character, was a light skinned woman from New Orleans, and they made her dark skinned girl features or whatever they want to call it. I don't know. The goalpost moves on what this situation is, but nonetheless, I didn't really care for the movie at all because it was a black girl who was a frog most of the movie, and she was kissing frogs trying to turn them into Puerto Ricans. Really wasn't feeling that movie. And I'm not feeling the whole voodoo thing. Although I understood the cultural elements of it being in New Orleans and why they did that, I ain't like that shit either. Nonetheless, little black girls liked it. They had their first black Disney princess, even though she was a frog host of the movie. But we saw what happened with Wreck-It Ralph 2 or whatever they're trying to do, update it, and they made her look like she was light skinned with curly hair and less black features. Black women correctly were in their feelings about that, right? So what I find weird is that, and this is the only thing that bothers me, is that there are a lot of sisters up and down my timeline, not just sisters, mixed chicks as well, even Puerto Rican chicks, whatever. They all like, I'm going to see it, I want to see it, I'm happy, blah, blah, blah. And they're kind of like think they're rubbing it in at the white folks who are complaining about this. And I think that's silly because, like, Disney will give you a bone every 10 years, yet there's going to be a million other characters that represent them in whiteness. And yes, they overreact in my opinion, but like I said several times in my videos, who has taught me more that validation and promotion matters more than any of these colors online chicks crying is white men, because they flip the shit whenever a character they've created or they grew up to or navigated to is changed. They flip out, and we get it. You got a group of nerdy ass white men who probably didn't fit in and weren't part of what was quote unquote manhood or masculine or whatever, and they went out there and promoted themselves and made their own lane and became millionaires and cool and whatnot in their own way. So, and the people who gravitate towards those characters and those people, right, they feel some type of way when you change the colors. Even to the point where we know that even when a character is written to be a person of color, and I'm saying it because the girl who played it was mixed, the rude chick from Hunger Games, I think that's who it was, they flipped out when they found out she was a little biracial girl. She wasn't even black, she was biracial. Right, I think that was the Amanda Stanberg chick that played that character, whatever. But that's how it is. So like people want to minimize it and say cartoon characters or fake characters shouldn't matter, but clearly to white folks it does matter. It matters to them, and clearly it matters to y'all because y'all happy that they took one of their characters and made it one of yours, or made it look like you. I think personally this shit is dumb, even though we know that Marvel and other people throughout the history of the comic books, people change. Thor is a girl now, and Spider-Man is a gay black Puerto Rican midget, and like they do all this stuff. But I personally think that you should keep characters the way they are and make and create new content that's cool. Like start a legacy of a new character. Don't just take one character and keep flipping the colors. I just think that's dumb to me. And moreover than not, is like the way I'm seeing how so many people are validated by this. Again, I understand that validation matters, but it's the fact that your self-esteem, your validation is contingent upon another company that clearly has a history of not messing with you. That's the part that's sad to me. That's the part that bothers me about the whole situation. Is you feel vindicated to rub it in the face of a handful of folks who feel some type of way about the situation. Which again, if they changed Princess Tiana or whoever a different race, y'all will be in your feelings. We already know that, and we already complain about not having enough representation as it is. Cool, but I just don't like how we give so much energy to other groups' stuff that, it's like you're letting them know we can make you or break you this easily. We can take a character that you love and take it away from you easily. Yeah, we can pander to you too and get your money and benefit off this controversy, and everything's going to go viral, and every woman of color in America is going to go see this movie. And at the same time, and then after that's settled and we make a bunch of money, we can go 10 more years without making any characters that look like you. I'm saying I would prefer black folks to look at the black content creators, black artists, black comic book people, and focus on their shit and trying to make their stuff viral and make their stuff pop. Like even when you look at the fact that the chick who a sister wrote Terminator, a sister wrote The Matrix, and they tried to take her shit and she fought for 20 years and she finally got paid within the last 5, 10 years, whatever. But imagine if black folks had the wealth and the resources and the power to make those films, and what that could look like for the black community if those were black owned, not just the writing part of it, but the actual studio and distribution aspect of it, right? I think that's the goal. That's the only goal. This waiting for Disney and Pixar to give you a bone every 10, 15 years, that's kind of pathetic. And it's sad seeing how much power it has over you. I'm just watching, like, people really feel vindicated saying, we might take He-Man. Well, first of all, they had a few black He-Mans. They had a few Negro He-Mans, as it is. But you can't take shit that don't belong to you. Like, if they want to pander to you, it's smart for them to do that and benefit them in that way, only to a point. It's only so far that the white folks will care, because eventually the white folks will adapt and move on and go find something else and go do something different, right? And then we'll be left hanging. And the companies ain't going to go that damn far. They'll take some hits, but they ain't going to take too many, right? Like, Nike knows what they're doing. Nike trolled with the whole Kaepernick sticker thing. I don't think none of that should happen. And they stock went up. And they play people on both sides. They had black folks running out there to save Nike like it's white, like it's a reparation check. That's the wrong check. Stop looking for Nike. And white folks, you know, the conservative ones that don't buy Nike anyways, aren't the demographic complaining about not buying stuff that they probably don't buy anyways. Again, like, I thought y'all already was done with Nike from the fact that they already messed with him in the beginning. It just don't make sense. But geniusly, Nike kept up. I don't think black people realize how these companies are trolling, whether it be Gucci, these Dove commercials. Like, all these companies are profiting off of this controversy, and it's helping them get bags. And meanwhile, we not creating our own content, creating our own fashion lines and high-end label clothes. Like, they snatched up Dapper Dan, so, like, for some folks are conflicted on that. Like, do they want to support him even though he's with the company that did what they did? I just don't know. I just think they're trolling you, and they're still getting your wealth. And at the end of the day, we not building. You can't go on other people's houses to change on their furniture, and that's what it seems like we keep wanting to do. Stop demanding of them to promote you and create content for you and make your little girls feel special inside because they can see themselves on TV. I think it's your job to do that yourself. Like, at this point, like, India made that biggest grossing movie ever, and it was on some, like, 300 Troy type stuff, and they did that with their own money and resources. And that movie is one of the most grossing films ever, and it's a big blockbuster project. And we saying we want some. I know with the ADOS conversations, the whole Africa thing is kind of like, it's fleeting. That's why a lot of these black liberals and stuff on TV are mad, because black folks are starting to think about themselves as Americans and not necessarily as the African part. But we've all dreamed of that big, beautiful movie, like the imagery of a Troy or a 300 or something like that, but with all black folks and stuff like that, or, you know, some of the historical things that happened historically with some of the black kings and whatnot. But we're not investing in that. We're not creating that. We're not in a position. I agreed with Jason Black when he said, you know, to create a character, to create content like a Game of Thrones, you need archaeologists, you need historians, you need a lot of folks to, you know, come out of their comfort zone to go do that type of content. But we're not really investing in those areas. And then we'll be complaining again when they make the spinoffs of Game of Thrones. Like, there's no black people in here. Like, you gotta make content that you want to see. Stop begging these folks to create the content to make you feel good. And again, to me, it just looks sad how many women I'm seeing are really trying to, like, rub it in. Like, we took your character and made her black. Like, no, motherfucker. How she gonna be a black mermaid? She can't get her wet and she can't swim. Stop it. No, I'm just playing. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Me knowing how the world works and how the world operates, I'm not mad that white folks are acting off fake outrage over this. And I don't think it's a lot. I think it's some. Because when it comes to controlling your image and promotion and validation, which they've showed me it does matter more than these colorist chicks crying online, I think they're doing what they're supposed to do. They don't want you changing their content. They're selfish. They want their images to be a certain way. I think that every group should operate that way, though. I think that black people should operate that way. You shouldn't want people who are half of you being able to represent you, but we don't do that. We let them. Black men don't. Black women do. So that's the one I wanted to add. Like, people are trying to minimize saying it's a mermaid, it's not a real person or whatever. I'm like, that don't matter. In the world game of domination and promoting your image and making other people envy you and want to be you, That's the way the game works. So I can't be mad at that they're in their feelings over something that's silly, being the fact that they're gonna have a million other characters that look just like them, and it is what it is. Again, I'm not for flipping out characters. To me, that's dumb. But I understand the culture we live in. There's a bag in doing that, so it's going to happen a lot more. I don't think Idris Elba should be Bond. I think Idris Elba should be a villain in a Bond movie, but I don't think he should be Bond. I think that one of these black writers should go in the room and create a black spy movie or whatever, like that. I think that's just the only solution. And the reality is, even if we did that, it will never be able to compete or be on the level of their shit. And that has to not matter, though. But for a lot of folks, that ice is colder, so it will matter. And we might not support it, and it might not do well. And I think that's the scary part about it. Even if we did create the young content and did give a counter to what we keep crying and complaining about, it because it won't be seen in the same light or get the same validation globally, it won't get the same type of support. I don't really care about that. I just want to see black content and black people do create and use their creativity and do some cool shit. If you look at some of these skits and memes and stuff and things on Facebook, I mean the skits or whatever, it's some talented motherfuckers on YouTube doing some stuff. Not the dudes that were dressed in female clothes. That shit is dumb and gay, and they need to stop doing that. But some of the stories that you see being told on these YouTube stories is like, damn, imagine if these people had real budgets and could tell real stories. It's crazy. But that's just my thoughts. I'm not upset that they fake mad about it and fake outrage. We saw this with the Finn from Star Wars. People were flipping out when they thought that he was the hero in this person, but when they found out he was just a simp ass dude that had no real power, and dudes were less upset that the new I don't know what her name is. What is she called? The new hero was the girl. She's the hero. She's the she has control and the power of the lightsaber and whatnot, right? And they didn't really fuss about that. Now, you know, half the time when they take a character and they do flip flop it, make it a girl, whatever. We saw what happened to Ghostbusters. Captain Marvel didn't do bad. I guess it did all right. They claimed that Ocean's 11 was all right, but I don't know. I don't have heard anybody talking about it. I know it doesn't have the same effect as the original. I haven't even watched it yet. But I don't know. Sometimes it's a hit and miss. But Captain Marvel did good in the theaters. They claimed that Ocean's 8 did good in the theaters. We know that Ghostbusters did not do well in the theaters. So it's a gamble. And I hate one thing people say is because Black Panther did great and awesome and good, that's a sign that these movies do sell. Like, that's one film. You can't gauge it on one. I'm not saying that's an excuse not to invest in those type of films, but one does not, set the precedent for all films. You might have one that does good and pop off. You have one that don't. Proud Mary, which was Taraji P's movie, which was to me another atomic bomb, which, one of those type of movies, or Peppermint. Peppermint did trash in the theater, and so did Proud Mary. Proud Mary did worse. And it's like you had your black representation, you had your black version of that movie, and black folks didn't go see it. Same with Lupita's film, where she got the show, came out a week before Birth of a Nation. All these people who were fantasizing, who looked like they want to adopt Lupita and was putting her on pedestals and hyping her up. None of y'all went to go see her goddamn movie. Her first film, where she got to show her own acting chops and how good she was, y'all didn't go watch that shit. None of the color chicks online reviewed it. They didn't talk about it. They didn't say nothing about it. They didn't go see it. That's why people don't believe you.